Hi everyone, I'm Kat, and this is my 3-star crafting rotation. You can find the detailed instructions up on the Square Enix forums under Heavensward 3-star crafting rotation and macro. Up here there are detailed pictures and requirements. Likewise, there is a macro below for doing the goods in an automated way. The key to 3-star crafting is knowing what works best right now. The best option, in my opinion, is using piece by piece to drive your progress fastest. So using Wraith's MMA or some variant of it works best. You can still use my Maker's Mark careful synthesis approach, but Ingenuity just doesn't go as far as it used to. So in this video, I'm going to be outlining Maker's Mark using PbP. I've got two pictures up here showing the requirements. The biggest thing to note about the requirements is CP. The minimum CP is 389 without food. The maximum CP you can have is 422. If you have 422, you can slip in 2 extra 18-point actions for precise touch or for basic touch. If you're at the minimum, you won't have any built in. You'll only be able to do the extra 18-point actions if you get ToTs. Usually you get 1 to 2 ToTs during this rotation. So I'm going to go ahead and outline the rotation here. I've got max CP, so that's what I'm going to go over. The only difference in the max CP and the regular is a difference in the last SH. It's important to note that if you're doing the max CP rotation, your last SH is not an SH2 unless you get 2 ToTs. If you don't get 2 ToTs, you have to drop it down to a regular SH. Alright, so at the start of the rotation, we're going to do Maker's Mark, followed by Comfort Zone, and then SH1. We're then going to do 2 piece by piece, driving our progress up, and then we're going to do our FS cycle. You need to hit 9 out of 12 of these flawless scents. That means that you're going to try to fish 2 ToTs out of the cycle. If you fail one early, you should probably only do 1 ToT because you can fall short. It's also important to note that if you hit all of your flawless scents and you don't get any ToTs, you will have 1 less careful scent at the next part of the rotation. So we do our flawless scents. You get 1 or 2 ToTs. We then do our comfort zone again, inner quiet. We're then going to do waste not 2, and then we're going to do careful synthesis, and then a second careful synthesis if you didn't do 12 out of 12 flawless scents. Okay, then we're going to go into our first hasty cycle, so we're going to do SH2. You should not try to get any consume any ToTs during this because you're in the middle of a waste not 2. But if you do get a good or excellent state, you definitely should go ahead and consume it with an 18-point action if you have ToTs or if you have 1 or 2 extra actions because of having really high CP. So we're going to do 5 hasties. At this point, we're out of the cycle of the waste not. So you can consume ToTs if you want to, but you don't need to. We go ahead and do comfort zone. We do an SH2 and we do 1 hasty. Be careful right here because you're doing 1 hasty and then you've got 5 durability. It's really easy to break your item there if you're not paying attention or if you craft way too much. Okay, so then we do our recovery 2. We go and do 3 more hasty touches. Again, if you get a good or perfect, you can consume them with an 18-point action. Watch your CP. Usually what I do is I count how many 18-point actions I have at the start, and then I count however many ToTs I got. So if I start with 2 by default. If I got 1 ToT, then I go ahead and count off 3. And that I remind myself I can do 3 18-point actions. And I just knock it off, drop one of my fingers each time I use one up. So after our last hasties, we are down to an SH if you only got 1 or 0 ToTs, and or in SH2 if you did get 2 ToTs. Note that if you're doing the low CP version, you are going to do an SH2 all the time, unless you're even lower than 389 CP. Alright, so we do our SH. We do, at this point, if you've still got 18-point actions, you'd burn them up. You then do greater strides and Biogots, and then our last progress step, finishing the good. Generally speaking, this works really well with about 2,000 to 3,000 quality starting off. You can do more if you want to. Oftentimes, I work with just normal quality materials for most everything, because the rotation really does drive a lot of quality. So let's jump in game, and we're going to be making a Econ Iron Ring of Healing. I know it's not very exciting, but I had an order for it this morning. So as you see, I'm starting with about 2,000 quality, and that's about the minimum bar for me. Anything lower than that, and it gets pretty tight. Okay, so we're going to start our synth. Always make sure you have food up. I had 2 minutes left on my buff, which is enough, but it's a little tight. So we're going to do Maker's Mark, Comfort Zone. Again, watch for procs, so we've got our first ToT. Remember, you can only take 2 ToTs, and then you'd be able to fill 1 flawless synth. So we're going to do Steady Hands, do Piece by Piece twice. And now we're going to do all of our flawless synths. And remember, we need to hit 9 out of 12 of these. We've already consumed 1 ToT. So I can miss 2 of these, or miss 1 in ToT 1. Again, keep an eye on Tricks of the Trade, or the good status. Alright, we've got 5 more. Don't think we're going to get the other one. I've missed 1. Okay. So I've got 1 extra ToT. So I've got 2 built-in 18-point actions. That means I've got 3 built-in 18-point actions at this point to work with. So we're going to do a Comfort Zone, Inner Quiet, Waste Not To. Now I've got a good here. Sometimes if I'm feeling brave, I will go ahead and consume this with a Precise Touch. Just be aware that that has a 30% chance of missing. If I'm playing it smart and safe, I will ignore it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go ahead and do my 2 careful synths. Always check your progress here, that you don't go over. Okay, so we see here I've got 50 progress left to finish, so I'm right on mark. I'm going to do Steady Hand 2. I'm going to do the Hasty Touches. So we've got 5 of these. So you see that we've got Steady Hand 3 and Waste Not To lined up, along with our Comfort Zone. Now at this point we're out of Waste Not To, so if you get any goods, you can go ahead and consume them if you want to. We're going to do a Comfort Zone, Steady Hand 2. Now we've got a good, and we're going to go ahead and use one of our built-up 18 CP to use. So I'm going to only have 2 after this. So let's do a Precise Touch. Here we're at 5 durability. So we're going to do Master's Mend 2. We've got 3 more Steady Hands, so we're going to do Hasty Touch, Hasty, Hasty. Okay, I could use Steady Hand 2, but if I do that, I'm not going to have 2 18-point actions at this point, so I'm going to do Steady Hand. And at this point, we've got 2 18-point actions left, so I'm going to do a Basic Touch. You can see I'm at 60 CP, and I've got 2 Comfort Zones remaining for an extra 16. So I'm going to do my last Basic Touch. I've gotten Excellent, so normally I would have done a Greater Strides and then Biogots. But with the Excellent, I'm going to go ahead and do Biogots now. As you can see, would have had 2 CP left if I had used greater strides. So I'll go ahead and do careful synthesis. And finished. And so that's the rotation. That's how it all works. I'll go through it one more time for folks who want to see it once more with a few different conditions. So again, pop food. Make sure you've got about 2000 starting quality. Alright, so we're going to do Maker's Mark. I'm going to go through this a little bit faster. Comfort zone, steady hand, piece by piece. Piece by piece. We've got a good, so we've gotten one good. Flawless synth. Flawless. Alright, so we're going to go through this cycle. We can get one more good and we can miss one. Now, honestly, I go through this so fast sometimes I do miss the ToTs. But this is a really efficient rotation, so... Okay, so I've gotten one ToT. That means I've got 3 18 CP actions built up. So we're going to do Comfort Zone, Inner Quiet. Now, I am not under the effect of Waste Not 2 here, so I can go ahead and consume this. So this means I've got 4 18-point actions built up now. So we'll do our Waste Not. So I'm going to ignore this again, because I don't have an SH out. So we'll do Careful Synth. Check your progress. Make sure you don't go over. If I had hit that last Flawless Synth, I would be really close to going over. I think it would have still went under. Steady hand 2. So we're going to do 5 hasties. I've got a good, so I'm going to go ahead and consume one of those 18-point actions, so I'm now got 3 left. And that's our last hasty. Comfort Zone. Steady hand 2. Precise Touch, we're going to consume one more of those, so now I've got 2 left. 5 durability, so we're doing Master's Mend 2. Got 3 hasties. Steady hand 2. Now I've got 69 CP, I've got 3 comfort zones, so I've got 2 18-point actions left. So we're going to do Basic Touch. And note, because I got 2 ToTs that last time, I did Steady Hand 2 instead of Steady Hands. Alright, so this, I always double check on this last step. So I've got 59 CP. I've got 2 8-point actions left. And so I'm looking good. So we're going to do Basic Touch. Greater Strides. Let's see, I'll have 1 CP left. We have Byrogots. And Careful Synth. And that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer. Thanks, everyone. Bye.